Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever you are. Piotr here. This is the second part of the weekly update. We are going to discuss few majors as promised with the previous video. Short introduction and we are going to go straight into the charts. Hi guys, my 23rd. Finally, I got my own private hairstyle. Saturday morning. It was quite tough week, and we are going to discuss today two parts. During the first part, I'm going to try to summarize the market situation when it comes to the indices, part number one, and part number two, we are going to discuss the majors, right, ahead of the next week, ahead of the month and related flow. So hopefully that's gonna be very useful for you, some kind of the preparation ahead of the weekly open. So yeah, let's start without a further delay and let's start to check the charts. Funny watching myself. Anyway, guys, what is going on? We do know that we do have a long weekend, right, when it comes to the UK and US. So Monday, well, you know, we can skip Monday. Nothing super extraordinary on Tuesday. When it comes to the calendar, Wednesday, we have a Lagarde. And during the London session, the very beginning of the London session, and we do have beige book when it comes to the second part of the US session, okay? Thursday, now juicy. Thursday juicy because we are going to get the preliminary GDP when it comes to the US. We are going to have durable good orders. Again, unemployment claims, so plenty of very interesting things going on. And because of the long weekend, we are going to get crude oil inventories, right? On the Friday, we have the quite good package when it comes to the Europe, and we have some juice data when it comes to the US. Let's try not to talk about the calendar too much. I think that, you know, stuff related to the US-China tensions and Hong Kong, Taiwan, as well as COVID. That's what is going to drive the market upcoming week. Plus, of course, this US GDP could be the driver as well. Well, okay. So euro dollar. Right, and well, we are not going to discover America based on the weekly chart. If we are going to say that we are for the 7 weeks of consolidation, all right? So as you can see, we had some stops to the upside. As you can see, we had some stops to the downside. So nothing is clear here. Now, I would say that because of Riley huge drop, this consolidation might be attempt to break to the downside. But for now, as you know, as we discussed previously, 110.50 to the upside, 107.50 to the downside, and that's where we are taking into the consideration the Friday close. We closed in the middle of that range. All right, let's switch to the lower time frame. Let's switch to the daily, and as you see, there was an attempt to rally for the first part of the previous week, but then a little bit of the midweek reversal with the Wednesday upper shadow rejection. Thursday, Friday, we are trying to take over now as a bears. Well, again, nothing extraordinary around the top of the consolidation. And if you remember educational video when we are discussing the power of the single candle, that's where the supply ends. Nothing extraordinary. Nothing, you should not expect. From the intraday perspective, we were talking that maybe some 1 to 3 But anyway, rejection at the top of the consolidation. Now all those upper shadows are being tested as a pullback, right, with this Friday move to the downside. Now Monday might bring a little bit of the relief rally, right, especially that the market is going to be almost without the liquidity. So I'm going to watch two levels. I'm going to watch something around 109.30 and something around 109.50. If that's gonna be the case, then we should see a little bit of the lower levels when it comes to the Tuesday. That's how I see the things for now. Okay, if the market will decide to go higher, it's not that important, but it might work. Why it's not that important? Because it's a range. It might work, it might not. Then we might try to close the business. So the third level to watch is going to be around 110, right? We'll see. To the downside, previous week open, that's the first level in my opinion to watch. We are talking from the bulls perspective. In that case, we are talking about the levels close to 108. Okay, so over to the next one. Dollar yen. Very similar situation to what we discussed on the euro dollar lately. Range. Oh, sorry. I didn't went to the dollar yen. Why? Sorry, guys. Sorry. Now, that's why I've been so surprised. How come this type of the range when we had the spike to the downside? Anyway, dollar yen. Where we are with the dollar yen? We had this surprise move back above 107. So last week we were testing 108, some kind of the rejection, and from the seller's perspective, it's good because the weekly close we got below previous week high. That's quite significant. Now, if you are watching this weekly chart, right? If you are watching this huge drop, huge V formation attempt to create the V formation, right? So, well, there is some bumps on the road right now, but I think when it comes to the sellers, right? I think, look at this, guys, look at this. I think in a medium to long term, we might see attempt to retest 104.50, 104, right? So it could be up, down, up. Of course, it looks like a little bit different when it comes to the daily chart. The weekly, no doubt, it's gonna get more time probably, right? Looks like we might at least try to finish the business, so somewhere 104.50, 104. But if we are going to make another measure like this one, huge rally but no new high, if we are going to make the same size, we might even try retest 100. We might even try to retest 100 based on 1-to-1 one more time. No higher high, so maybe lower low based on the stop count. Okay, so that's how the things looks like from the daily chart perspective. Weekly, switch to daily, and we have consolidation. It's not similar to euro dollar, but still is some kind of the consolidation. We've seen the stops to the downside. Now lately, previous week, Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, we've seen the action to the upside, and there was some kind of the rejection. But we finished the week above the weekly open, but as I mentioned, below previous week high. So, well, what I'm gonna to look for is some kind of the stop hunt to the upside, right? And failure. So if that's the case, I would like to see maybe another attempt somewhere towards 107.80, 108, rejection, and move lower. There is a possibility we are going to find some support from the daily chart perspective around the 106.50, right? But then if that's gonna be broken, I would treat it as a huge consolidation, then retest, and this type of the move to the downside with the dollar yen towards first 104.50 and then 100. That could be the name of the game. Well, we were discussing quite a few times move above 110 is needed for the bulls, to try to make something bigger out of the current market price action. So move above the psychological level, right? 110 could be the name of the game for bulls. Otherwise, it's like that can bounce for now. And well, you have to agree, if you are watching from time to time, that for quite long time, when it comes to the selling dollar, I've been talking that the only pair I can try to sell the dollar is dollar yen. And the last one today with this update is cable. And cable, there was a moment, it was the move on the cable is a little bit frustrated, right? It's very sensitive right now to what is going on the indices. We are trying to hold this over under around 120, 119.65, okay, on the cable. There was a attempt to rally this week, but as you can see, we retest some certain levels we discussed previously, and towards the end of the week, market built upper shadow, right? So for now, well, I would be very careful. We have probably plenty of stops below this week open, which we closed yesterday, right? So we are talking about 2075. Then that's gonna open 120 psychological level and that low around 1965, right? But probably if we are going to break through 1965, 1975, we are going to retest 115 when it comes to the cable. What has to happen to change that bearish view from that higher time frame horizon? Well, close above 2620 could be something, right? That might open 130 and closing the business around 138. Okay, I can't see that right now. Well, we'll see. Anyway, let's switch to the lower time frame, to the daily chart. Monday, Tuesday rally, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday rejection, upper shadow. Well, to be honest with you, I've been thinking that we might see, based on this consolidation, we might see a little bit bigger rally, and that's what I've been talking about as well, like 50% towards 2420, right? It didn't materialize. We just test the bottom of that consolidation, as you can see, and straight rejection. Well, still maybe 1-to-1 pullback and beginning of the week attempt to go higher and then eventually rejection. So with all those three, we have a range when it comes to the euro dollar. There is a possible rejection when it comes to the dollar yen, meaning the yen might be stronger, and bearish view on the pound USD. Besides that, if you are going to make like a little bit of the thinking, possible rejection dollar yen, bearish pound USD. So maybe as a homework, as do your own research, it's worth to check what is going on the pound yen. With that being said, I would like to say thank you very much. That was the second and the last part of the weekly update. It was my pleasure to be with you, and see you around as early as next week. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend and see you around.